the plan is to go after these particular seats for the purposes of getting some type of electoral advantage, I guess, in 26. It makes no sense to me because a couple of things. One, you've got Democratic governors now looking at the possibility of doing the same in their states to offset any gains here. But two, given the momentum the Democrats are starting to build and hoping to continue to build, Republicans are going to need more than 4 seats out of Texas to hold the House next year. But in the meantime, what do you think this political play says about this effort to do this now?
Well, first we have to understand that this is more than just Texas, okay? Texas is being targeted because it's a red state, because he can tell the governor what to do and the lieutenant governor, and they'll do his bidding. And it is all about who I call the felon in the White House wants to stay in the White House. And he knows that this next term in the 2026 elections, they're going to lose a lot of seats because their ideas are losing. Look at the polls. The polls tell us that over 60% of the people don't like the big ugly bill. Over 50% of the people disapprove of the felon in the White House. He wants to retain power, and he's going to do whatever it takes. So he calls our governor and says, I need 5 seats. And he says that July 7th, July 9th, the governor calls a special session. He's got some things related to flooding, and the things that really he should be focused on is the crisis and what we need to do to prevent another devastating crisis like that. But instead, he's putting politics, pure politics, over people, and he added this to the agenda. And now they're going to start hearings this weekend, and the White House wants a report, or DOJ wants a report of rough maps by August 7th. That's 2 more weeks. So they're going to railroad this through as quickly as they can, but we're not going to do it without a fight. You know, we will be there to fight every step of the way.
The fight is important. I mean, now, to be clear, just to share numbers, if Republicans in the state House and the state Senate in Texas, they want to force these maps through, they have the numbers and the supermajority that they can. So then we're looking to the courts, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little uneasy about the courts. Talk to me about the importance of the state legislatures here. You used to serve in the Texas State Senate.
I served in the Texas Senate and on the Texas Redistricting Committee, and even that one was all a sort of a rubber stamp kind of session because the governor presented maps. I know I presented several amendments. None of them were passed. I presented 2 maps in Houston to get 2 new have 2 Latino congressional districts in Houston. We have 1, but the population has grown. Over 50% of the population in Houston-Harris County area has been Latino. Like it or not, this is not about race. It's about population growth. So if they want to be able to have more numbers, they're just going to have to start having more babies, because we are.
Can I say one thing? Can you put the graphic of who is with the seats that are being targeted up on the screen?
Because someone to notice that they're all minority urban districts.
Yes.
Minority urban districts. And they're alleging that because they're based on race. DOJ is saying that today, but we are actually in court in El Paso on a case where the state is defending the maps that they're attacking. And they're saying, oh, no, it's all race neutral. There is nothing to do about race in the maps. And they're the same maps that the governor approved, the same maps that they keep arguing that were not based on race, are the ones DOJ is saying, oh, no, you have to do it. And, of course, the governor's saying, OK, yes.
So my question is, who are they replacing those 5 minority members with?
It's crazy because they're saying one thing in court, and they're saying something else to DOJ.
I contend that math is tricky. I remember once when I was in high school, we were in gym class, we were playing dodgeball. There were 6 of us on one side and 7 on the other. And the teacher said, well, it's uneven, so one of you is going to need to move over. And I said, well, it's still going to be uneven, just in a different direction. And there is the possibility that this happens here. I want you to take a listen to how Beto O'Rourke described the possibility of a dummy Mander. Take a listen.
We have to get serious. We have to be absolutely ruthless about getting back in power. So, yes, in California, in Illinois, in New York, wherever we have the trifecta of power, we have to use that to its absolute extent. And then the last thing, this may end up biting Republicans in the ass. you have the possibility that they will disperse Republican voters to make up these 3 or 4 or 5 new congressional districts and put those districts in play.
What do you think the chances are that happens?
I think it's very real because, again, it's a midterm election. There's going to be those changes anyway. That's why he wants 5 more seats out of Texas so that he can offset some of the losses around the country. But if they push and tug too much, then it jeopardizes and puts Republican seats at risk. Some will be more competitive and some they're going to lose because we're going to fight like hell to make sure that they do. Because it just doesn't happen during a mid-decade redistricting.
Oh, this is
And
extremely
it's going to
unusual.
change so much for so many Texans.
Well,
People are
here's-
going to be confused. They're not going to know what happened to their member of Congress. It all goes back to making sure it's one person, one vote, and that you have a representative that shares your values that you can vote on. You know, look at that Justice Department letter. It targets nothing but minority urban districts. They can say everything they want, but the bottom line is they put black and brown folks in jeopardy by writing that letter.
I agree a lot with Beto O'Rourke's assessment here because it is how you go on offense, given not defense here, but on offense. Accept what they're throwing at you and have a counterplay and put them in, which they think they're now on offense by making this new rule, this new map. But then all of a sudden, if they all have to look around at other states potentially, but even within their own state, and the last part of that is about the math, exactly to your point and Beto O'Rourke's point, because the math is comprised of numbers, and the numbers represent people. And the people are the ones who are ultimately on 2 fronts here. One, confused because suddenly they're now in a different district, and they're looking to vote, and they don't know where to go. So that's going to have a real big impact on turnout. So that means you're going to have to spend extra money and extra dollars to re-educate your population in the middle of what will be a hot election cycle to begin with, to figure out where people are voting. And 2, once they know where to vote, all right, then you've got to worry about actually getting them to the polls and the backlash that oftentimes comes when people see you playing around with the system this way. So how do you keep this front of mind for voters, that what they're doing, what Republicans in the Senate, the House, and the governorship are doing is basically stripping away their electoral opportunity?
Well, we had some rallies this weekend. We're doing them rallies before the hearing. I know in Houston, we're going to have a rally before the hearing. I'm going to go to all the hearings that there is scheduled so far. There's 3. I mean, we're going to do ads. We're going to get the people out there. The governor needs to hear that people don't want this. And he's got to hear from the people, not from the felon in the White House. Because the reality is, that's what voting is all about. That's the basis of our democracy. That's the basis of one person, one vote, that you make the choice, not the politicians in Washington. I mean, we haven't even seen a map.
Correct.
Right.
The
That's the
map
thing.
doesn't even exist yet.
We have the first hearing, I think it's Friday, and then we have one Saturday in Houston. No one's seen the map. We're being told that it's being crafted at the White House by the political operatives there. I mean, who wants a map coming from Washington? Nobody does.
Certainly no one in Texas.
I think we're gonna fight like hell, and we're gonna meet the moment. I mean,
All right.
it's time for us as Democrats to fight fire with fire.